a program where you can call in and you can share your views. We discuss a topic. It's not a voices program, but it's a topic we discuss, and you can share your views. I suppose people who the powers that might be that be would be able to garner some information from you, understanding what you, the citizens, are feeling and thinking, and they can act from that. And I suppose that is one of the reasons why we take our time out to call into programs like this. It gives us a chance to air how we feel. It is what we need to be able to do. We need to be able to express ourselves, and we need, when we express ourselves, people are listening, because a lot of times we say that the voices of the people are not being heard. But in St. Kitts and Nevis, I think that is a statement that doesn't apply to us, because every time you turn on the radio, there's always a talk show somewhere, and people can call in and definitely share their views. Okay, this morning, what the topic is going to be about, I know we are getting out of election mode. It is time for us to start settling down. The country has to start to proceed like normal. I think that is one of the things that we have to, look at. We have to take into consideration that we have lots of different factors and elements out there that can work against us. So the time is now. We have to refocus, reset, and start thinking about country building. And we have to make sure that, because life is not going to be the same right now. It's not going to be the normal things that we're accustomed to. We have to get very creative, or the powers that be would have to get very creative, because we're looking at how we can make the adjustment. And life, like I said, life is not the normal things that we are accustomed to. We are just getting out of an election. And I know that many people have had things to say. People are still wanting to say certain things and have not yet been heard. You can call in this morning. We are talking post-election. We're talking about emotional states. We're talking about financial situations. We're talking about rebuilding relationships, because that was something that went down the chute during election. It shouldn't happen, but I don't understand why people always take it so personal. Everyone is entitled to his or her opinion. Doesn't matter whether or not you are in agreement with it. People have a right to say how they feel. And that is one of the things that I recognize lately, is that you can only say what people want to hear, not how you feel. And I feel that is something that we have to seriously look into. Everybody, we support different parties for our own purposes. We have our own reasoning why we do so. And I feel like everybody should respect people's opinion. I have been on social media. It is the first election that I've been so involved in social media, and it caught my attention when sometimes I look at the things and the people posting on social media, the aggression that is there, the relationship breakdowns that you see. Sometimes there's some people that you can compliment, because although it's a heated moment, they still maintain that cool and understand that it is the silly season, as we call it, and people can say silly things. But it is what it is. It's over and done now. The Unity Party has been restored to power, and I want to make sure that we, as the electorate, the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, recognize now the powers that we have. We are the ones who make that decision. We are the ones who decide who holds office. And at the end of the day, we are the ones who should make sure that the people that we elect to serve in office, they do what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be honorable men. I suppose that is why the Constitution is done that way, because it is done hoping that the people that you elect to office would remain honorable and they would do what they are supposed to do. I don't know. I've been thinking about what I was going to talk about, and I went through a lot of different things that I should talk about. And then I realized that there's some of the things that I want to talk about. I shouldn't talk about it at this time because it ruffles some feathers. But the person that I am, I just think I'm going to talk about certain things that people might think that I shouldn't talk about, but it is what it is. We elect honorable men and women to office. They are supposed to represent us in Parliament. They're supposed to be responsible for the day-to-day running of the country. They are responsible for making sure that our economy is where it's at. We are very much the envy of most of our Caribbean partners because of the fact that the prime ministers, because it's not one, it is those that has preceded and those that are now, would have done what they're supposed to be to put St. Kitts in the position that it is in now. And we have to make sure that position is maintained. We know, like I said, there are lots of elements that are against us. We depend heavily on tourism. We recognize now that the world is on a lockdown. Tourists depend on people coming from outside. That is not happening right now. So we are going to be faced with lots of unemployment. We are going to have people who are very agitated and who would be angry, because when you can't feed your family, it is a difficult situation. So we do hope that the government would recognize that the stimulus package that they have rolled out would be there for a very, very long time. And again, would ask the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis to understand, though, this was a situation that no one expected. So it takes time for the government to make that adjustment. And we do hope that in the long run, not in the long run, in the short run, people will be given what they are expected, because you have to feed your families. That is what it is. People have to be fed. And when you're not working, you have to find some means of support. And we want to say kudos to the government for the stimulus package that they would have rolled out. But again, it is one that would have to be readdressed sometime later, because as time goes on, it's going to get worse. They say when America is in recession, whenever America has a cold, the whole world sneeze. That is what it's going to be. And we have to realize that. So we have to be responsible ourselves. We have to take on responsibility, knowing that we cannot be dependent on government all the time. And that is one of the problems that I have with us here on the island of St. Kitts and Nevis. It comes back to what I've seen and what I've heard about people selling their votes for pittance sometimes, just to know that they can get something. That's not what it's supposed to be. It is your right. Our foreparents fought for this. It is not something that you sell on the street. It is something that you have to seriously think about and decide who will be the most suitable person, the person who can, in times like these, who can manage the economy the best way. These are the things that we have to take into consideration. We listen to some people who are very intelligent, that I would have assumed, and I listen to them talk and I wonder. But one of the things that I realize, and in St. Kitts and Nevis, we depend too much. We back a political party, and because we back that political party, we can't see beyond. We can't see their flaws, and instead of condemning, we condone, we defend. And that is something that we have to stop looking at. We are making comparisons, and people say, why do you compare? But you have to. Not that you want the government that you would have elected to do the same thing like the previous administration would have done. But at the end of the day, it takes time, and it's for us to make sure that we don't have a repeat of what the previous administration would have done, if we would have had a problem with what the previous administration would have done. And so there's nothing wrong to condemn when it is necessary. You can't be so strict because you turn a blind eye. I'm looking at people talking about irregularities, and that and the others are saying, oh, but when Labour was in, Labour did that too. And people are saying, no, but not because Labour did it, it means that this administration has to do it. These are things that we have to look at. We cannot support, because we are supporters of the administration, we cannot say that when they're doing wrong, it is right. And those of you who would have sucked it up under the previous administration, you should have taken the opportunity to ask them to correct it, and then we would not have had the same problem that we're having now if there's a problem. And these are the things that we have to look at as electorate. We have to understand the powers that we have. We take it lightly because we don't understand the political system. We think politics is just backing the political party and pushing them in because at the end of the day, I am going to get a little bit of benefit. It's not about that. It's about how the country is going. When the country is in a good position financially, economically, then you are going to benefit. But a lot of us like to sit on the side, and that is why we have the problems that we have, where people have been elected to office not because the majority want them, but because of the fact that people are looking for individual benefits. For example, when I look and I heard everybody talk about Eugene Hamilton, he wasn't doing anything for Keon and blah, 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 and blah. And then I said, let me go and look and see if what they're saying is true. And I was shocked. I was very much shocked at his accomplishments. But the only thing, and when you look at everything that they've said, is that, he drives to the village and his glass is down. He doesn't have time to come and sit down and have a drink with us. But if he's going to do that, then the necessary things that he's supposed to do he would not accomplish them. And people have to stop thinking that way. Politicians are elected to do jobs that all of us can benefit, not individuals. That is not what we elect them for individual benefits. Of course, some people are going to, they're going to benefit because some people make sure that they benefit. But that is not the sole purpose that we put them there for. We put them there to make sure that the country is in a position, create an environment where all of us can benefit. We look at the packages that they're coming out now. I'm really looking forward to the promises that were made, or those things that were placed in the manifestos, the mandate that for the people, the fact that they're starting to look more on trying to help entrepreneurs. We create an environment where people can become self-sufficient instead of dependent. I want to see that. That is one of the areas that I'm seriously looking at. We have lots of talent here in St. Kitts, and the problem with the problem is that the opportunities are not presented, and so therefore people have good talent, and it's just stay there, and it's not tapped into, and we have problems where everybody become dependent on the government. And the question you ask is, how much longer would the government be able to sustain lots of these programs? We look at the STEP program. We look at what the government is saying now. They're going to be under the umbrella of the government. They're now recognized as civil servants. And you ask yourself a question. I remember in 1980, one of the reasons why Pam could have talked about the success stories that they had is because of the small business enterprises. That is the area that government has to start to look into, where people can come up with their own individual ideas and create their own small businesses, and they can work, and they would not be so heavily dependent on government. Those are the areas that government has to really start looking at, because how much more can government carry? How sustainable are all of these programs? You ask yourself the question. Look at the environment that we are in right now. Look at the situation, the complexity of the situation that the world is in right now. And you ask yourself the question, our CBI program would be affected. Definitely. Those are foreign investments that we have, and it would be affected. Then you have our tourism industry, which is our major source of income, that we are heavily dependent on, would be affected. Then you ask, what can government do to alleviate some of the problems that we are going to face in the future? We have to look seriously about our agriculture system. Whether or not it's working, you have to first be able to supply the needs of the people, and then we have to see how we can start exporting what we have. The idea of the Barefoot development that we have up there, it's a very good one. Going back to that again, where we can produce our own milk, and then we can look at making butter and other things that we can do. We have Nevis has a very, very good livestock. I think it's more so, I don't think government is totally in control of it, but I think people, because it's a background that they came from, where livestock farming is a big thing in Nevis, and you can go and get your organic meat kind from the the abattoir, and those are the things that we have to start looking into again, where the government is not going to have individuals, giving everybody a piece of land so that they can do that. Late after a while, people become lazy, and those lands just stay there, run away with weeds and all kind of shrubs, and people do not do what they're supposed to do. I think the government has to start looking at it from a point of view where the agriculture department is going to take on, even if you have to hire people to start doing cultivating, marketing your stuff, creating an outlet where you can market your stuff. These are the things, these are the assistance that government has to start looking seriously into, not just giving people a piece of land where they're going to cultivate the land, and then later on, I spoke to a young man, because he said to me, I said, what do you want to do? He said he's into agriculture. I said, have you started yet? He said, no, government has given him a piece of land 3 years ago, but he has not yet gotten around to it, because it's a lot of work involved, having to get the irrigation system set up. He was looking about some matting that he talked about. Then he had to hatch the seedlings and making sure, and he's doing this all on his own. And he's, like he said, he goes on the internet to see how to get these things done, how to there's certain things that he wants to sow, so he goes onto the internet to see how he can get it done, and then he applies it. And this is what I'm saying: if you're going to issue lands to young people, they need that guidance. And so that's the area where the agriculture department has to pay some more attention. It's not about just selling the pesticides and the products, the what do you call it, those medicines that I'm thinking about for animals and stuff. That's not all you have. They need a department that is properly set up, where young people can be properly trained in how to not just plant and just reap, but how to market this stuff. We have to have an organized outlet where people can go to and sell their products. And young people have, like I said, they have to be guided. If we're going to make this happen, these are the things that you have to look into. It's not just about giving people a piece of land for because you want to vote. It's not that. And later on, you have 5 years down the line, you've been given a piece of land, and then now you can't get it because somebody's doing something. And we have to stop it. Our people, we are better than that. We are better than that. We have to start looking at country building and not just self. These are the things that we have to really, really start paying attention to. Government has to start paying attention to how to revive the small businesses. They're the ones who are suffering right now. They're the ones government has to come up with some stimulus packages for small businesses, because they are suffering right now. And even when they come back on stream, it's going to be difficult, because after being down for how many months, not being able to make any money, it is going to pose some serious problem on our small business industry. So government has to come up, I think, with some packages of how we are going to really encourage people to continue doing their own small businesses. And I know when you have a vibrant small business department where people are working for themselves, it reflects really, like I said, we don't have the tourism industry to depend on, and this is something that we can depend on. Let's go to the phone lines and take a call. We would have lost that caller. Okay, but these are the areas that government has to seriously start looking into, how we're going to rebuild and how we can revive that vibrant small business area. Let's go back to the phone lines. We have somebody waiting there. Caller, you're live on Your Views. Good morning.
Yes, I just want to say a couple of things, and in reference to agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a problem where the land that people are using predominantly for agriculture owned by government.
Mm-hmm.
But the agricultural department can't tell them what to plant. Now, that's pure foolishness. Listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
Most of because the land is government land, they're supposed to be able to, I hardly want to use the word dictate, but some of the farmers are troublemakers. They don't like to cooperate. And some of them, because of politics, they don't want to do them anything. But when the sugar industry was functioning, I used to see some people from, there was a section of that, I forget what they used to call them, but anyway, they used to look at, they used to plant, they used to get the plants, the sugarcane plants from overseas, and they'll plant them at their station. That's where they got these preserves now. And then they'll also carry some of the cane out certain places and different estates, and they'll see how they come. The whole idea was to see what they were looking for maximum yield.
Mm-hmm.
Maximum yield, and sugarcane, you also got something called borer and less borer. But when they do that now, they check the tonnage that is produced when they cut that. They used to call them experiments. So if that area produce a good high tonnage, but then they know they could plant that cane there. Whether in low area or higher elevation.
Mm-hmm.
Some crops are better suited for the north side of the island. Mine anything will go all over St. Kitts, but you get better yield in some places.
Mm-hmm.
And the Department of Agriculture is supposed to be able to do that. Make them do it. Not, and then you can go carrots and string beans. No need for you to go watermelon and
It's true.
sweet pepper and everything. Because you're going to be producing small amounts. But if you're going to produce one or two crops, you're going to get plenty.
It's true.
And then you're better able to supply. But in spite of all of that, though, before a lot of these things are produced, you're supposed to have a market, you know. You're supposed to do market research when you're going to do business. And then you know a way things through. Because I know if we produce surpluses, some arrangement could be made. I believe Antigua will take a lot of stuff because, you know, Antigua be water problem worse than us. Stacia, Sabre, but then they're bringing U.S. stuff. So you are careful, and then, but the problem is us, we don't sustain. We can get seasoned pepper for maybe a couple of months, and then you look the other month saying and on. You can't do that. So I believe that I heard the Director of Agriculture in recent times, when the government put in the $10 million in agriculture, saying that they're suggesting to them to plant what. But you need to suggest they can make them do it.
It's true.
Government can make them do it.
You have to exercise some more control.
Indiscipline.
It's true.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Certain crops go better in England than in Scotland. Although they are temperate land, but Scotland is colder than England, because it's more north. So, you know, they got this kind of thing, and certain kind of animals they produce. In America, the same. America got varying climates. They about 4 different climates. But they ain't going to go something we're supposed to go in Florida, up in Maine, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Because it make no sense. But the people here got to learn to get discipline. And out of discipline, you can get success. That's why the Asian nations are successful. Like little, small Singapore, bigger than us, but still small. Discipline is where them they got worse. And out of that, you can get all the reward. Israel, look at Israel. But something wrong with us. You said some things a little earlier that a lot of people like to beg politicians. Yes, a lot of them like to do it. And I believe in some cases we got too much big expectation.
It's true.
That's a problem killing us. But anyway, I'm going to still tell you though, the mood of the people is reflected in the result of the election.
It's true.
So, and that's something some people, well, let me say Labour don't want to accept. It's the mood of the people. Labour and NAP don't want to accept that. You may get some swing mood later, you never know. But the result is the mood of the people. Anyway, you have a good day.
Thank you for your contribution. It is exactly what we're looking at. I said government has to take a little more control over the agricultural department. It is just people have to realize, and just like the caller would have said, I'm talking because I'm trying to get my thoughts back. Okay, just exactly what the caller would have said, where people, we have to go to the phone lines. We have another caller. Let's take this call. Caller, you're live on Your Views.
Hi, good morning, Sandra.
Hi, good morning. How you do?
I'm giving thanks, as usual. I listen to your program from the inception, and I do agree with you that there is a global reset in terms of the economy, the global economy. And how, Christian, I might ask this, how do we position ourselves going into, say, like post-COVID to really adjust and adapt to this global reset? As we speak right now, the powers that be, they are formulating other, um, upcoming nations that has that sort of, in fact, in terms of saying like the groupings, like the G7, they want to extend that to probably the G10, including other nations like probably Australia and maybe India and the like, and maybe wanting to sideline other nations because we all are aware of what is going on. We can see this fracas, this tussling in terms of who is to be blamed for this pandemic. I like to call it the pandemic and the like. And then put into fray the oil price and all of that. All of that is a part of the scheme of things, the global reset. But how do we position ourselves?
That is
I
a
think that we are too small. We are just in the scheme of things, and there is a bigger picture in which we should position ourselves. But I say that, and I'm going to touch on agriculture a little bit here, because that is of paramount. If we are to do agriculture, it has to be subsistence. We have to extrapolate, borrow from the modern technologies of agriculture for us to get it right in terms of, fast forwarding this thing. We cannot approach agriculture in the conventional way as we used to, because we're going to get left behind in terms of productivity and in terms of volume. Because we see what has happened to us now, and it's like, I don't think we really had a food shortage, but we was very stretched. Because the neighboring islands, like thanks to Dominica and St. Vincent, who was able to still supply us with certain commodities that we normally don't have here. And that goes a long way. But how can we really now glean from, look, take this as an example to see that why it would not always be so, where St. Vincent or Dominica will be able to reach out. How can we really, look inward now and start in terms of our production, in terms of our volume to expand all of that?
Let me ask you a
I
question.
always
Let me
had
ask you a
this
question,
idea.
though. Let me ask you a question. Why did we have to go to Dominica and St. Vincent to the Windward Islands in the first place? Why?
One of the reasons why, because we were a monoculture-based economy, yes, but our agriculture was in terms of a cash crop, which was basically sugarcane.
No,
Whereas
after we would have done with sugar. I mean, Dominica, the boats started coming in after we would have done with sugar. After we would have
I'm
done
not
with,
quite sure. They used to come here in sporadically,
yeah, they
maybe,
won't.
yes,
It
but they
was not it
extended
was not
their
as
volume.
organized as it is now.
Yes, I agree with that. Then we did not have a plan going forward as to say, well, we are going to phase out cane production, but we are going to phase in. I always had a plan. I always identified, because as I drive around the island, I would have seen the verges, the guts, what we call guts, and there are so many guts. I would have seen that we would have earmarked a particular gut for mangoes. We would have earmarked a particular gut for breadfruit. We would have earmarked a particular gut for bananas, and we would have leave the more arable soil, the topsoil, for finer things like tomatoes and carrots and the like. I have always had that vision to transform all those verges. You can see it
But
sporadically
you
there.
have the
You
vision,
can,
but you don't have the power to do so. That's the difference. That's the
yes,
unfortunate thing.
and all I can do is to agitate and inspire our youth. That's all I can do. But I can assure you that my words is not going to go on deaf ear. Okay? My ideology is vast. I'm a Pan-Africanist, and I was on a program previously for a couple of weeks, and look what has happened in the world today. The world is changing, fast changing in our direction. So you and I and majority of us, most of us, we have millions and millions and millions of unseen people that that has our back, and we don't even know it. Millions of people that has our back. We are on the shoulders of millions, billions of people, and we don't even know it. And this battle, they has answered the clarion call, and they're battle ready, and it's no turning back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution. It's a question that I've asked and I've been asking for the longest while. How did we find ourselves in a situation where we think it's limega, fertile soil, fertile lands, and we are so dependent on agriculture produce coming out of the Windward Islands? I've always asked the question, how did we get to that position where we have to depend on agriculture produce coming from the Windward Islands? It always, I can't seem to understand it. I don't know when it happened. I don't know how it happened. We have had planters, and this is one of the things. When we neglect our own, these are the problems that we face with, because government has to control the ends of the importation.
We're different.
The importation of agricultural goods. We have to recognize when there's going to be a glut. They have to control that importation of agricultural goods. Let's go to the phone lines and take a call. Caller, you live on your views.
Hey, good morning.
Hey,
Sandra, how you
Sylvie.
doing?
Let me tell you, when I hear your voice, I feel good.
Oh, hallelujah.
Because I
And
know
it's Father's Day, by the way.
Father's Day is every day. They set forth for it. Father's Day, fathers should start take the responsibility every
Watch
day.
me.
I'm not sure.
When is Father's Day, please?
I am, darling. I don't get caught up in these days because I
Saturday?
think they're supposed to be responsible every day.
Sunday coming?
Sunday coming? I don't know. Trent, Father's Day, Sunday coming? First Sunday in June? Huh? Did we have had a Sunday in June before? First Sunday in June? You mean Sundays don't pass?
No, he ain't passed yet.
No, no.
I think it's Sunday coming. I hope somebody would call you and let me know.
Okay,
Well,
wait.
I'm saying to myself, Lord have mercy.
I don't know either, so. The 21st of June.
The 21st?
Yeah.
Oh. I haven't heard anything, you know. Or somebody say Father's Day coming and whatnot. No. Anyway, you asked a question. The answer is, how did we get here and all of that?
Mm-hmm.
There is a concept in economics called comparative advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Comparative advantage means compared to somebody else who have the advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Dominica and the Windward Islands have the comparative advantage in the growing of some agricultural products because they have rivers, so they have a more consistent available water supply, which we do not have. Our agriculture is rain-fed. So that is where we start. And there is nothing wrong. I'm coming to it. So that in terms of cost, the cost to produce the same amount of that product would be higher in St. Kitts than in Dominica or St. Vincent. So that is the first thing we have to get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
They have the comparative advantage compared to us. That's all it means. Compared to us, they have the advantage in producing certain products. That is why if you go back into CARICOM, Guyana has rivers and whatever. That is why Guyana was assigned the task of producing a lot of the food stuff for CARICOM because they have the comparative advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so let's start that. Then go to the union. We are part of the OECS. We have a single economic space in the OECS where goods and people and capital are free to move. So that they are not intruding.
No, I'm not talking about intrusion. No.
I'm getting to it.
Okay.
So you ask, why? The aspirations of our people differ to some of their people. A Dominican does not think it is below him to be a farmer. Because In fact, they own the land. In most cases, they own the land on which they farm. So they don't have to wait on the government or nobody to allocate land for them. So they take pride. This is my family farm. So therefore, I think, and then the market and the transport, they have developed around their thing, transportation, so that they have an organized market. How many more people are willing?
Sylvine, I know you're going on that road, right? But let me tell you something.
mean,
Listen. Let me ask you a question because I want to engage you. You know, it's unfortunate. I think it's unfair when we're gonna say that about the people don't want to. I don't think so. The opportunity has not presented itself. There is no proper organization in the agriculture department. Now you're seeing a lot of young people. Now, okay, let me tell you something. Now you see everybody wanting piece of land to farm. Why? It showed because it's now becoming available, and that's what they were saying before. Oh, there were no lands available. We can't say that they were not interested. The lands were not available to them. You just said that the people in Dominica, when they farm, they're farming on their own lands. The people here are very dependent on the land distribution. So we can't. I don't think it's right and fair to say that our people were not interested. I don't think so.
Let me continue now.
Okay, go ahead.
We had a labor force survey in 1994, 95, where people were asked what kind of thing would you want to do, and the majority said they want to go into tourism. Now let me get to the agriculture, because you see, I used to do work along with the agriculture department when I was at statistics, because I studied agriculture development and policy at UWI. There are settlements in Far East and one in over Sadler, Harris's, where people were given 3 acres of land to work. And what happened, 3 acres, you know, what happened is that in some cases migration affected it, because the older people, after a while, they were no longer able to work the land. Talking about down St. Paul's in Constituency 6 down to Sandy Point. Their children went to the Virgin Islands so that they were no longer able to work the land. But when the government had a policy of trying to recover the land to give them to people who want to work them, they began to say, well, you can't take the land because it's my land and, you know, Papa Bradshaw give me or the government give me. So they have not been able to take back the land on the labor. And I can tell you, hundreds of acres were given out. I think C.J. Clyburn was the minister. To young people. But some of them some of them are interested in land speculation. They want the land to use for a different purpose.
We're assuming.
Right?
Sylvine, let me tell you, I said this and I'm going to maintain it. You give young people land and they number one, it's not about just planting and reaping. It's about being able to market this stuff. They don't know how.
Hello. Maybe you see you're not aware.
Maybe I'm not aware.
There was courses run by out of UWI in St. Augustine. A lot, Cardi, IECA, a lot of training was done in the farming sector. A lot. The Taiwanese, don't even mention the Taiwanese.
And those people who,
more than enough.
And those people who were given the lands, attended these sessions?
They were given land, they were given assistance. I recall talking to some young fellows, right? You have what I call extension officers who are there to give technical advice, run experiments on the farm. And some of them said, I don't want them on my farm. I am trying to explain, you know, this is the purpose. They don't want to listen to nobody. People who know, because this is what they studied. I don't want them, and a lot of them, you hear them still in with the cattle and whatnot. I don't want nobody to tell me nothing what to do. That sort of, that level of ignorance. Look at some people who are prospering. You got Armstrong, you got Peace, you got the Rasta. They get advice, they take. They get and they take advice. If you're young and you feel, well, you know it all. And the same thing about, they talk about crop rotation. That was instituted, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, no, they can't tell me what to plant. I plant what I want to plant and when I plant. Our people are very rebellious. Sorry to say so.
And that is why, that's why I said, Sylvine, what I
If
think.
you go and begin to say, well, you can't, and you see some people, you can't, look, the market is such, you plant carrot, you plant, they say you plant that. One lot of rebellion supported by ignorant people.
Well, that's
because
why.
people are even thinking. They used to have markets, you know. You know, the fellow Dolphin, I don't know because
Yeah.
of him. He used to work Simaco.
He died.
He was trained by OECS. He was the marketing person trained by the OECS to market. His job was to go out to St. Martin, the Virgin Islands, and market the products. He worked at Simaco. When Simaco phase out, it come at that phase out. But they just sabotage themselves. Even the Simaco. So sometimes when we're talking, the farmers themselves to me are part of the problem.
And that is why, Sylvine, I said, the government has to stop looking at the direction that they're looking into now and use agriculture where government is controlled by the government.
You see, in a democracy, you know, we like this word
Well, democracy, what?
You know, we like the word democracy. It could happen in Cuba. It could happen in Cuba. They'll tell you what to plant. You see, Taiwan? I did a thing in a paper in university called the Agricultural Development of Taiwan. I was shocked. I thought Taiwan used to be a democratic place.
No, that's...
When they say that you're going to plant this variety of rice, I did it, you know. I was shocked. They were sending police to uproot. You had to plant the species that they say you will plant no matter how long ago your mother and your father was planting it. They use force to force the people to change their manner of production. That in St. Kitts.
Let me tell you, it's a lot of areas that we are not even going into where agriculture is concerned. We have a lot of things that we have to look at. We have to not just producing the fruit, the plant, the vegetables, but even fruits, dehydrating them. You know, how you store them.
You know, there's an agro-processing plant.
Where?
Do you know that there is one? Are you aware that there's an agro-processing center?
Where's that?
Down by the clinic, you know, it used to be part of the Irishtown School. You don't know that? I think I don't want to move up to the Kim Collins Highway. Finance and
that's the Taiwanese thing. That's the Taiwanese, yeah.
And the people, they send them out to Trinidad to be trained. Things exist, but you got to commit yourself.
But then I know that, but because you see the Taiwanese will bring in sometimes the yogurts that they would do from there.
I tell you that they teach them to make all kind of
the
stuff.
jams, the jellies and stuff that they do there. But they're not doing enough, and that's what I'm saying. These are the things.
Nevis doing better than Nevis also have an agro-processing thing.
Mm-hmm.
They process their meat, they make sausage, you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah. Uh-huh.
It has to do with the people. It has to do with the people.
So then we need to take the minister from the look at the Ministry of Agriculture and put it.
Very much to do like Taiwan then. Put the police in the field.
We have to do better than this, though. Sylvie, we have to do better than this. If we look at where the world is going right now.
We have to start with the people mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you see, in this country, when you have democracy, you have a government and you have an opposition. And often, no matter who they are, the opposition tend to use every time the government, whichever one in power, try to do something and to correct any error, it becomes an opportunity
for the
to castigate.
Yeah, it's true.
So there has to be some kind of understanding because we're going in circles, you know. We used to produce rice. I'm talking about hundreds of pounds of rice.
Mm-hmm.
I have been on farms because I used to go out in the fields with the people. Hundreds of pounds, and the young when the older one get caught, oh, that is too much hard work. You tell them plant, Tanya, and dashing that the people bringing in. They want to plant what they could plant, and in 3 months they reap. It's a mentality, a mindset.
It's true. But how do you change that, though?
You first got to get over that mindset. to get anywhere.
And that is why I said, Sylvian, I'm going to say it again, government has to play a more integral role in how we're going to change this.
Well, the only way they could do is to enforce it. Maybe they got to do like Taiwan. When they say, don't plant no carrots here, and you plant them, they come and pull them up.
Well, they have to start allocating, to people. You have already allocated certain lots.
You can talk to farmers and find out the ways that they do. I have said to the Minister of Agriculture, take back some of the land that they have there. Vacant. You assign land to people and they work them, take them back.
That's what I'm saying.
And give them back to somebody who want to do agriculture.
Like I said, government has to be more just like we control the sugar industry. I suppose we have to do the same thing where the agriculture is concerned. The lands, if you have to, the government has to start to hire people to work the lands, because that's what some people want, because they feel like they're working and they don't have to do the marketing and the other things. If that's what it has to come down to, I think that's the direction we should go.
Maybe we need to teach some kind of politics. I don't mean party politics, eh?
I know. That's party politics, not
we
politics.
Need to teach some socialism to our young people, so they learn that this country existence does not depend on their own welfare. Because as much as we're talking, they will know, the man next to them plant 20 acres of watermelon, and they're going to plant 30.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
A lady name is Brody. You ever hear her name?
Mm-mm.
I think in Newton Ground. I used to go to her farm.
I don't know people.
She and Mo used to go down on the boat, the Dominica boat also, to sell their products. So it is not the government got to always market for you. You establish a market out there. And when the Dominica boat and so going down, you send down your products too. Because it is women who lead the children home in Dominica who come on this boat,
I know.
No government organize them. Nobody organize them. You go to Grenada when the boats come in. You go to Trinidad. You know what I mean? It is people taking the initiative.
I know they used to do it in St. Kitts, because I know this lady, Miss Christian, she used to go to Stacia, she used to go to St. Martin, she used to go stay. I couldn't understand the dead of the 3 o'clock in the morning. She's the hustle.
People got to learn to use their own initiative.
Yeah.
Everything is government. Government got a role to play. But we have got to develop initiative all across the board.
But we have to start seriously taking agriculture seriously, because, like I said, when we look at what is happening in the world, we have to be able to feed our own people. This unnecessary monies that we spend for importation of agricultural products, it is ridiculous.
Yeah, but when it comes to the OECS, we have got to understand we are one economy. The only way we could beat it, where there is a demand, there will be a supply. White people can't plant. And the funny thing, in the Windward Islands, the people got strength and stamina, Every hurricane coming blood on the whole, all their crops destroyed. They don't give up.
But that's their livelihood, so they can't give up on it.
They don't give up.
It's their livelihood. They can't give
Well, I
up.
done with it.
Okay, Sylvian, I think that we are infringing on Win FM's time. It's always a pleasure to hear from you, and let me tell you, you're blessed. I like the fact that you still use the opportunity to educate us. You are a wealth of information that people need to start tapping into. I know that you are tired, and I know that you have retired, but we have to make sure that we don't wait too late, because she is a source of good information, and we definitely need to tap that into it. We're running out of time. We are not running out of time. We are out of time. I want to thank those of you who have been in tune to Win FM 98.9 on your views. And we do hope that you continue to stay in tune to Win FM 98.9. The other information, Win Voices program is coming up. And your views continues next week, Friday, around the same time, 10 o'clock. I do hope that you can tune into that. It's a program where we make sure we try to inform you, the listeners, on what is happening in and around St. Kitts and Nevis. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your contributions. My name is Sandra Quilly-Atherton, and this is about the time that I take my leave. I do hope that you enjoy the weekend. There are lots. I know that we are still confined. We have certain limitations, but the sea, you've opened that up. Now we have to take advantage of what we have and make sure that whatever we do, we still be responsible. COVID is still a threat, and we have to make sure that we take the necessary precautions. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and I do hope that we can continue this conversation next week, Friday.
Tell them easy no man, from your love think it's bad. Me no know about you, but me love think it's bad. Me no know what them a talk about, when them say think it's mad. When everywhere in the world have problems.